Hello guys, my name is Javier and welcome back to Tool Craze, and in this video review we're going to be checking out one of Milwaukee's latest M18 cordless nailers, and that's the M18 Fuel 18 gauge brad nailer. And this is actually the second generation model. The first generation models actually came out a few years ago when they came out with the original 18 gauge, a 16 gauge, and even a 15 gauge nailer. And what was revolutionary about those cordless nailers at the time was that they were the first cordless nailers that when you press that trigger, those nail fires were instant. They were right on the spot. There was no charge up time, no ramp up time, something that you would see on rigid, Ryobi, DeWalt cordless nailers at the time. And that was nice about those, was that nail fires were instant. It was also nice because these things were pretty powerful. They were very consistent. You could actually shoot them softwoods, no problem. You can shoot them in hardwood, no problem. It would actually set everything very consistently. Whatever you set them at, if it was flush or sub-flush, it would leave excellent results all the time. And that's basically what continues on with the second gen model. And we're going to go ahead and test it out right now, show you its performance. And I have it turned on. It does have a power button, so you do have to turn this thing on. Hold the power button for a couple of seconds, let it turn on, and you see the green lights letting you know that it's on. And it's got two mode settings. You can do the single fire mode, and you can toggle also by holding this mode button. You can also go into the bump fire mode. And these are the same type of modes that the original model had as well. So we'll go ahead and test it out. Single fire, test it out on some softwood to see just how fast this thing is, to see if it follows the same legacy as the original models. And as you can see, nail fires are instant. As soon as I press that trigger, it fires a shot. There's no delay, there's no ramp up time. And it did very nicely right here with the softwood, set everything just below the surface. Actually, it set it pretty deep below. I actually would need to turn it up just a little bit so that they don't go so deep. And they're still going in pretty deep. So that just shows you how powerful this thing is. Actually, can actually dial it up a bit. Still setting them pretty deep. And it's got a good way to go to set these things flush if I wanted to. And that's actually closer to the surface. And that's right at the surface, just a little bit below it. So it actually has a lot of power. So that's with the 2x4 with the softwood. Now let's go ahead and test it out on a solid piece of hardwood right here. And it's actually not solid. It's actually 3 layers of hardwood oak planks. And this is about 2.5 inches. And we're setting down nails that are 1 3/4 inches. And let's get the test out to see just how powerful this thing is. Let's set the dial down a little bit so it sets these things flush, or actually sub-flush. Yeah, setting those, it set 3 of those flush, 1 was just above it. Now let's dial this thing down. Okay. So you do have to dial it down a little bit when you're working with hardwood to set those things flush. I just set another 5, and those are all well below the surface. That just comes to show you how powerful this thing is. No issues there. So that was a single fire. You also have a bump fire mode. And what's neat about the bump fire mode on the second gen model is that it's actually set to be faster at a very high fire rate compared to the original one. So we're going to go ahead and test that out. We'll do a few shots. And this is also the same test. It's going to be on hardwoods. I'll dial it down just a little bit and we'll test this thing out. Wow, that was really fast. And let's take a look at the results. And I have this on the other second camera so you guys can see up close. And yeah, all of these were well below the surface and really quickly. And just to let you guys know, I did all of those single-handedly, just with a single hand. When I tested the same test out with the hardwood block with the rigid model, which I also tested that one out. Go ahead and check out my review on that one if you want to learn more about it. was that when I did it with the rigid model, actually to get results like this, where everything was below the surface consistently, I had to press down with both hands to get consistent results. If I just did it single-handed, then I would get results where they would either be flush or just above the surface and not very consistent. So it doesn't have the kind of power that this model has. Now going back to this being the second generation model, if we go back to the first gen models that I actually reviewed, I reviewed the 18 gauge and the 16 gauge. Those were excellent performance, very solid, very strong. They had the same fast reflexes like this bad boy does. One of the biggest problems that I noticed with those two models was that when you actually fired a nail, it did what I would call a double shot, and it would fire. You could actually see where the nail was fired, and then right below it or above it, you can see a ghost fire, a blank. So it looked like it did two shots, even though it actually just fired one nail once. And that was actually pretty consistent. It didn't do it most of the time, but for the most part, you would actually see that double shot. It was actually rare when you didn't see it. And as you can see here, all of these shots, these ones were done with the single fire. These ones were done with the bump fire, and you don't see any of that double shot. You don't see any weird inconsistencies. You don't see any blanks being fired above or below it. Although I will say that when I tested this out, in the real world. I installed some trim in a new room edition that we did. And for the most part, I didn't see anything. Actually, all the shots that I set down with this nailer were just like this. Just a nice, neat single shot hole where the nail was fired. There was one shot where it actually looked very similar to that double shot on the original models, but could have been maybe I was at an angle or wasn't holding it with enough pressure. I'm not sure, but I only noticed that once. Other than that, I haven't noticed any double shots. So I'm just letting you guys know of its performance. And going back to the original models, when you set this thing, or the original one, in the bump fire mode, and you held that trigger, let's say you did 2 shots. Let's say you're installing trim and you fired a couple of shots. If it was a big piece of trim, one at the base, one at the top part of it, if there was a stud right there, and while you're still holding it and you scoot it over to your next stud to lay some more nails down, it would actually time out and wouldn't shoot anything. Not that it actually turned off, but it was just that delay, and you would have to re-hold the trigger to get it to work again. So we're going to go ahead and test that out to see if it does the same thing. So let's pretend we're setting down trim right now, and it's in the bump fire mode. I'm going to hold this trigger down, set a couple of nails, and then pretend I scooted over to the next section of studs. And then pretend I went to the next set of studs. And as you can see, even though there's been a slight delay in between sets of nails being fired, it doesn't delay and time out that quickly. Now let's see if this does delay at all, if it does time out, I mean. So we'll set a couple of nails down, the bump fire mode. Let's say I'm still holding the trigger down. Wait a few seconds, and we'll see if it fires again. Okay, so it shot 1, and then it timed out. That's kind of weird. Let's try that again. So re-hold the trigger, fire a couple of shots, wait a few seconds, and we'll see if it's still running. Okay, so it does time out if you wait long enough, but within a reasonable amount of time. If you're just scooting over real quick to set the next set down, it's not going to delay. So I do like that improvement. Another thing that I noticed with the first gen models was that if you try to fire it at an angle, a forward angle, it wouldn't fire because the contact tip wouldn't be making contact with the surface. However, with this new model, it will fire, as you can see here. Let me set that back down to the single fire mode. Yeah, it'll still fire if you're shooting at an angle, although you can't be too severe at an angle. As you've seen just a few seconds ago when I was trying to shoot at this angle, it wasn't shooting. So you can tilt forward just a little bit and that contact tip will make contact. However, you can't be too severe. Oh, I shot over a nail. But anyways, and I also want to notice when you do lean forward just a little bit to fire nails, it doesn't leave that double shot that I was mentioning with the original model, but it will leave a little line indent, like a little stamp, just in front of the nail hole, as you can see here in the second camera. And yeah, it's not severe like it was with the original model, where it was actually 2 nail holes with a completely big blank right in front of it. This is just more of a mark. If you were setting this down with something like, let's say, hardwood trim, you could probably just sand that and it wouldn't be too noticeable. But it does leave a mark, so it is something to look out for if you want to set nails down at an angle. And just like the first nailer, because of the magazine being straight and not at an angle, you can't really, take a look at it over here, you can't really do at the downward angle because the magazine gets in the way. For that, you'd have to go with something like a 16 gauge, a nailer with an angled magazine where you can actually tilt it in this direction and fire. But that's not so much a problem with the nailer. It's just more the design, just what has to do with the straight design of the magazine. So it's nice to see that they address those issues. There's a few more differences between this and the previous model, most of it being cosmetic. They did change a few things. The depth of drive dial is now on the right hand side, just behind the magazine where you place your nails. It's on the right hand side. They kind of cleaned up the look. On the previous model, it was right here in front of the magazine where you open it up. The magazine stays the same. It's very easy to use. I like these kinds where you just simply press this button at the bottom to open it, slide it open, and then you could just side load your nails in here. Very simple. We'll go ahead and remove that one. And then just pop it back into place. Very easy to use, very simple. And it also has, just like the first model, a toolless system to remove any jammed nails, which basically all modern nailers, whether they're cordless, nowadays have that. And just to demonstrate that, so first you want to remove the battery pack, take out any remaining nails, and you can close it or leave it open. And then on the top, there's a latch right here. You just pop it up, forward, move this pin back, and then you can just lift it up, and then you'd have your jammed nail right here. If it's stuck, you could usually just pull it out with your hand. If it's stuck, just get some pliers. And then once you cleared it out, then you can go ahead and use it again. And closing it is just as simple. Just face it down, make sure that this latch connects to that, and then just put the latch back down and you're ready to go. Just put your nails back in. And you're all set. Just close that up, put your battery back in, turn it back on. Other features that carry over, it does have dry fire lockout, although it's not very perfect. And the benefits of dry fire lockout is so that when you run out of nails, you don't fire any blanks. So this nailer is on and I'm going to try to fire. And as you can see, I can't because the contact pin is actually being prevented from moving up, so I can't fire any nails. However, as I was mentioning, it's not perfect. So as we can see right here, I have a little strip of nails. It's 5 nails, and I'm going to put that in there, and we'll see what happens when you're running low on nails. So here on the second camera, it also gives me that where it stops the pin from going in. But if you press hard enough, you can actually go past that. And at this point, you can actually fire nails, although check this out. If I try to fire a nail, it doesn't fire anything. And if you notice, so I fired 3 blanks. We do know that there's nails in here. Because see, we still have that strip and we still have the same amount of nails. We still have 5 in there. Let me go ahead and remove that. But if you look here, not only did it fire blanks, but it actually, you can actually see a big old line. And this must be the pin that fires it. And so it's actually leaving damage to the surface. Yeah, that's one thing you really don't want. If you're firing blanks, you don't want to leave extra nail holes, because simply put, you're just making more of a mess on your material. This is going to be more work that you have to do there and sit there and fix and patch up, as opposed to if it did fire a nail, you can just move on to the next section. But so basically it just damages your surface. So that's one of the little weird quirks about this machine, is that the dry fire lockout for some reason doesn't work very well when you're getting close to running out of nails. And as you can see, so once I got close to 5 nails, it wouldn't shoot those nails, but it would shoot blanks, which was kind of odd. I'm not sure why that happens. And you're firing blanks, you're not getting rid of the ones that you have on there. If it actually got rid of these, then it would actually not shoot anything, because once it's completely blank, or once it's completely empty, you cannot press down. I'm pressing down pretty hard, and that contact pin is not going inward. So that's a weird quirk. As far as other features are concerned, it does have the LED light in the front. It's not perfect, as you can see. It does cast a shadow over the tip, so you can't. So if you're trying to see where you're about to fire a nail, it does block that. But it is better to have a light, an LED light at all, rather, and it not be perfect, rather than not having one at all. Because you can still see. It does illuminate your surface before you fire a nail. Once you put the contact pin in front of it, then you get it blocked by a shadow. So that does return. It does have plenty of rubber bumpers on both sides. On the right side, it has more. It's got 2 right here, and these are perfect for non-marring. It's got the entire backside has a circle of rubber overmolding, so it protects top, the sides, the bottom. And then your battery pack also has rubber overmolding. So when you set this thing down, let's say you also installed something like hardwood flooring, it's not going to mar or scratch your surface. And then the left side also has a rubber bumper right here. The back is protected as well. However, this side has a belt clip. So if you do place it down, the belt clip is not protected. It's just bare metal. That could scratch or mar the delicate surface. So if you're going to set this thing down, I'd set it down on the side that doesn't have the belt clip. As mentioned just a few seconds ago, the belt clip comes included, and it's attached on the left side for right-handed users. You can also remove it and place it on the left side if you're you can place it on the right side if you're a left-handed user. And what's strange about that is that it uses a star bit instead of a Phillips number 2 bit. Not that big of a deal. Just something I wanted to mention. They did move the control panel. On the first model, it used to be back here just above the battery, and they moved it deeper inside here, so it's inside the handle now. Probably so that it doesn't get bumped around easily. And the first generation model did have a single button, so that single button could turn it on. If you held it, it would power it on. If you held it again, it would power it off. And if you just tapped it, it would toggle between the 2 modes. With this one now, it's got a power button. You still have to hold it, turn it off and on. And now it's got a mode button to toggle between the 2 modes, between the single fire and the bump fire. Although you don't just tap it, now you have to hold it just like the power button. I do want to mention, I'm not too crazy about having a power button on a cordless tool, because if you think about it, when was the last time you had to turn on your cordless drill or your cordless saw? Bet you can't think of any times that you needed to. You just popped in your battery pack and pressed the trigger and you're all set. So for me, it's more of an annoyance having to turn it on. For example, when I tested out the Makita cordless outdoor power tools, and I tested out their brushless X2 string trimmer and their chainsaw, those also had a power button that needed to be turned on. And let's say I use a string trimmer or the chainsaw, did a few cuts, cut the grass, and then I set the tool down, did something else, came back within 30 seconds or a minute, picked up the tool to use it again, and it was turned off. So it was more of a nuisance, of an annoyance to turn that back, having to turn that back on before using it every single time. This reminds me of that. However, it doesn't time out like it did on those Makita tools. When you set this thing on, you can leave this thing inactive for a long period of time. So with this model, as soon as I would power it on, use it a few times, and let's say I set the tool down, walked away and came back, even if it was 10 minutes or 15 minutes, this thing would still be powered on. I could just pick it up and use it. So it didn't stop me from working. Wouldn't have to sit there, power it back on every time I wanted to use it if I paused for a little bit. So I did like that they didn't annoy me further by setting us a ridiculously fast delay time. Looking at some of the other features or changes between this model and the other model, they actually lowered the weight. So the previous model was, the previous model was the original 18 gauge was 7 pounds. This model, they lightened it up to a stated 5.35 pounds. So that's almost, that's a little bit over 1.5 pounds difference. And I was able to weigh this, and it comes in at 5 pounds and 8 ounces without the battery pack. So it is close to the rated weight that they specify, just a little bit more. So 5 and 8 ounces is 5.5 pounds. So not too bad. It does go up a little bit when you add the battery pack. This is the compact battery pack, so it doesn't add too much weight. These are about 1/2 pound. So you're still not even at 7 pounds with the battery pack. Of course, if you were to go with something bigger like a 5.0, that would add about 1 pound. If you went with something like the 9.0, the 12.0, those are a lot heavier. So you could actually get to that 7 pounds or weight or more. I would like to say that the new 2nd gen model, that they shrank it a bit, but for some reason they actually made it a little bit longer than before. So the previous model was front to back length was 11.4 inches, and this new model they made it just a little bit longer. It's not by much. It's 11.9, so it's 1/2 inch longer. Not to say that the first one was really short, as we all know that cordless nailers are not known for being as compact as pneumatic nailers or as light. And a lot of people do complain about that when they're talking about cordless nailers, is that they are bigger, they are bulkier, and they are heavier. However, at about 5.5 pounds plus the battery, it's about the weight of a high torque hammer drill, which doesn't weigh that much. Yes, it is bigger, it is bulkier than a pneumatic, but what are the benefits of that? I don't have to carry around a compressor. I don't have to haul that out of my truck. Don't have to set it up. Don't have to haul it back up into the truck when I'm done at the end of the day. I don't have to plug it into a hose, having a tripping hazard. I don't have to look for power outlets and have to deal with extension cords. And as far as the nailer itself, there's not really much maintenance. If you're used to using pneumatic nailers, you have to put a few drops of oil each time you use it. If you use it a lot, it can be more than once per day. And with cordless nailers, you don't have to worry about that type of maintenance. You don't have to worry about, as I was saying, a hose, compressor. You can even work where there's no power because you got your power source right here. You got everything that's needed to to work this tool. You got your power source, you got your motor, everything that's needed, so you can be portable. And that's what I love about cordless tools. They also improved the runtime. The previous model with this battery pack, the Compact 2.0, can do 1,200 nails. And on this second gen model, it's a little bit more efficient. So you'll get a bit more runtime with the same battery pack. Now you can get 1,500 nails with the 2.0. I don't have any price numbers, and I'll go ahead and put that in the written review on the website at www.toolcraze.net. I'm going to also put it down in the description so you guys can check that out. You can buy this as a bare tool, and you can also buy this as a kit. If you buy it as a kit, I got this one with the kit. It comes with a Compact 2.0 battery pack, and that's to keep it light, not as tall and bulky because of the bigger battery pack. So this is going to keep it a little bit lighter with the compact battery pack. And it comes with the stock charger, the dual voltage one that can charge M18 and M12 batteries. And this is the stock, the original charger. So it's not the new fast rapid charger. It comes with the manual, the paperwork, and it also comes with a medium-sized tool bag that can hold everything, the battery, the charger, and this nailer. So let's see if I missed anything. So that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I do want to mention that Milwaukee did provide this at no cost to me. This is a product sample. But however, as with all of my reviews, I am not paid or swayed to give a positive review. All of you guys that have been following me for a long time, you guys know that I give out honest reviews. I tell you guys what I like and what I don't like about the tool. If there's any flaws, if there's any quirks or anything, I will alert you of all that, as I did with this one, with this tool. And I also want to give them a big thanks, a big thumbs up for fixing some of those issues. You don't have some of the same issues that you've seen with the previous original models. You don't have that double shot. You can fire just a little bit at an angle. It's not too severe. And the bump fire the delay has been set for a longer period of time. It does time out if you wait for a little bit longer, but at least with a normal rate of a normal speed of work, it should be just fine without turning off. I'm never going to be crazy about having to turn on a power tool before I can use it, and this has that, but at least it stays on for a long period of time. I think it stays on for about 30 minutes or so before it actually times out. That's if it's inactive. So very nice. All right, guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please give me a big thumbs up. Leave any comments or questions down in the comments section. And don't forget to check out the Tool Craze website. I know you guys don't see me here that often. I only post videos when I actually have something to review and show a video on. However, I do post daily content on the Tool Craze website. Every day I have tool news, and when new tools come out, I'll write about that. You'll also see reviews that aren't shown on here. Just this past month in, September, I posted a lot of reviews, a lot of hand tools. I got a lot of stuff from clients that I reviewed, and all of those I did not show here on the Tool Craze website, on the YouTube channel, but they were on the Tool Craze website, plus a lot of other stuff that you don't see. So make sure to go ahead and check that out when you get a chance. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys next time.